What's up, everybody? My name is Nick. I'm the founder and creator of Part-Time Pilot. You can find us on Instagram at part.time.pilot. We got a bunch of good information on there. Or you can join our Facebook group. Just type in Part-Time Pilot under groups and ask to join. It's a great place to ask questions and get a lot of free information. All right, let's get started. I'm going to make a few videos on how to get your private pilot license and everything that goes into doing that. All the requirements that go into doing that. So this video in particular is very good for anyone who has already started training and needs a review of what requirements they need to meet to move on to the next step, wherever that might be, or someone who has not started but wants to get their private pilot's license and wants to know how the heck they do that. So let's get started. Step 1, find a CFI, certified flight instructor, and an airplane. So this can be at a flight school, where you go, you pay tuition, you live on campus, all that stuff. Or you can do a flying club where you just pay dues. They have a bunch of aircraft and a bunch of instructors that they'll pair you up with. Or you can find your own airplane and any CFI and pair the two and get training that way. The difference lies between what type of school you want to go to. There's Part 141 schools and there's Part 61 schools. The major difference is Part 141 schools have to have their curriculum okayed by the FAA. So this is what you'll find at flight schools and flying clubs most often. Part 61 is a different set of requirements, and it basically allows you to do your own self-study, all that stuff for the ground portion. You still need a certified flight instructor to do your flight training, and you still need the same endorsements from instructors, but you can kind of go at your own pace. You can train and study your own way. It's not from a okayed syllabus. All right. Okay, so step 2, you must meet the following requirements to start your flying lessons. To start flying lessons, you can be at any age. However, you have to be at least 16 years old to solo, and you must be 17 by the time you take your final check ride. Because of those two things, that's why you rarely see anybody younger than that do flying lessons, but it's totally acceptable to do so as long as you're not soloing, and then you need to be 17 to take your check ride. The second one, you have to be able to read, speak, and understand English proficiently. So for all you foreign speakers out there, unfortunately, this is just something you got to work on. It's very important. It keeps us all safe that we can communicate efficiently with each other. Step 3, before you can fly solo, you need a student pilot certificate and at least a third-class medical certificate. So the student pilot certificate you can get that at the Integrated Airman Certificate and Rating Application website, or IACRA. So let's go there and let me just show you real quick how you can do that. Okay, so I'm here on Google and I just typed in IACRA, and as you can see, I've clicked on a few of these links. We'll want to click on the register link. All right, so now here we're gonna click the applicant, and then we're gonna go down here and agree to the terms of service. For certificate information, if you are a new student pilot and have never done this, then you do not have a certificate number and don't have to enter that. For personal information, you're going to input your name, date of birth, sex, email address, answer some security questions, and then input your username and password. And then bam, just click register and that's it. Now for your third-class medical certificate, this can be acquired by scheduling an examination similar to a physical with an aviation medical examiner, or an AME. Now you can find an AME close to you by visiting the FAA help page on AMEs. Let's go check that out. All right, so to get here, you can follow the link provided, or you can just Google FAA AME. All right, so now there's a bunch of good information on here. You can request medical records, you can look at aviation medical examiners, you can look at the drug and alcohol program. There's frequent questions and answers, how to obtain a medical certificate, all that stuff. But the basics is you just want to find an AME, you want to call them, schedule an examination, go to the examination, and get your medical. So to do that, let's click on this last one, locate an AME. Then we're going to click on search for an aviation medical examiner. Under the drop down, we're going to select AME. We're going to do a location search. Then we just enter a city, state, county, and postal code. Click search. It's going to pull up the AMEs in your area. You can click one, call them, set up an appointment, and just like that, you'll have your third-class medical certificate. Okay, so step 4, Now that you have your student pilot cert, you have your third class medical cert, you have your flight instructor, you're able to fly solo. Now you have to essentially meet two requirements. You have to pass an FAA written test and you have to pass a practical flight test. Okay? So to pass the FAA written test, you have to get an endorsement in your logbook in order to take the test. And then, of course, you have to pass the test. Okay? So this endorsement must be from either a certified ground instructor or certified flight instructor. So a certified ground instructor can give endorsements for the FAA written exam, and they can teach you the ground knowledge. FAA flight instructor can teach you the ground knowledge and give you an endorsement for the FAA written, but they can also conduct flight training and give you endorsements for flight requirements. Okay, so you can study on your own on an online ground school or at an in-person ground school. And again, this depends on whether you want to do Part 141 or Part 61 schools. All right, so 5. Now, you must receive a logbook endorsement, have passed the FAA written, and meet the minimum flight experience requirements to take the FAA checkride and pass the FAA checkride. All right, so in summary, we have a written test that we have to get an endorsement from and pass the test. Then we have a practical test where we have to have passed written. We have to have passed the written test. We have to have an endorsement, a different endorsement for the practical test. And then we have to pass the check ride. Okay? So now, in order to do this, to take the check ride, you have to be at least 17 years old. Your endorsement for the check ride has to be from a certified flight instructor, not a ground instructor. And it has to be from the flight instructor who did your flight training. You can't train with one instructor and then get endorsement from someone else. And then in order to give you an endorsement, the CFI is going to look at two things. They're going to see, are you proficient in the required areas for the aircraft rating and private pilot? And then 2, have you met the aeronautical experience requirements? That's a number of hours in certain types of flight, which I will go over both of these things in separate videos in the near future.